Hey everybody, welcome back to History Student Reacts. Today we'll be watching Dead Body Hijinks by Sam O'Nella. Now this title concerns me a little bit, but it is also very on theme for Sam O'Nella. Now before we get into this one, if you guys end up enjoying this video, I'd appreciate it if you would leave a like, subscribe, and check out my Patreon, which is linked down below. Now with all that out of the way, let's jump right into this reaction.
Thanks to Dashlane for sponsoring this video.
We got a sponsor on this one? Dead Body Hijinks, Part 1.
Hey kids, whether you're a precocious young lad down by the swimming hole or a grizzled crime scene investigator, everybody's got some interest in dead bodies. Yes, from Weekend at Bernie's to Weekend at Bernie's 2 to Weekend at Bernie's 3 Revelations, stories about wayward corpses have certainly carved their niche in today's media. So, I thought I'd spin a few yarns about some real-life people who were kept out far past their expiration date.
Oh great, hey, he is right, we do have some tales of dead body hijinks in our media, so now we get some real-life examples. Fantastic.
First tale follows one Elmer McCurdy. He was an outlaw during the twilight days of the Wild West. Thanks to his former life as a miner, McCurdy acted as the demolitions expert to
Elmer McCurdy. That is a very Wild West type name.
his little posse, using nitroglycerin basically anytime he had the faintest excuse to do so. Except he was kind of a moron, so it didn't usually go quite as planned. Gotta say, after peanut butter and chocolate, my favorite combination of two things is probably gross incompetence and high explosives.
Yeah, so we got the Bill Williamson of the crew. Red Dead Redemption 2 reference.
Example, in March of 1911, McCurdy's band of rabble-rousers found out that $4,000 were in a safe in an approaching train. They managed to stop the entire locomotive, I don't even know how you do that, break in, hold everyone on board hostage, and locate the safe. McCurdy steps up to plate, right? Gotta blast the thing open, except I guess the excitement kinda got to him, because he ended up using like way too much nitroglycerin, like inordinate amounts. And
Brother, brother, you do not need that many explosives to open up a little safe like that. Now they're pretty tough, but it's pretty easy to overdo it.
Kinda got to him because he ended up using like way too much nitroglycerin, like inordinate amounts. Ended up completely destroying the safe and its contents. And what few silver coins they made out with were literally melted to the frame of the safe and had to be peeled off. Anyway, he died in a shootout with police later that year, and the
Classic. It's a classic way of going out. I love, being able to stop the train, rob the people on board, which was a, not all the time, but a fairly common occurrence in some places in the western United States. They get to their prize, what should be their prize, the safe, and they just explode the entire thing. Fantastic work, boys. You've really made a profit on this one.
The undertaker at the funeral home he was sent to couldn't find any next of kin on account of McCurdy being a rambling low-life varmint, so he just embalmed the hell out of him and said, "Hey boys and girls, want to see a dead criminal? Only one shiny nickel." And since LiveLeak wasn't around at the time, there weren't many places a kid could go to stare at a corpse for a while if he or she so desired, so it actually became a pretty popular attraction.
This is the most classic, sort of early 20th century, 19th century tale of the United States I've heard. It's got everything. The Wild West, a train robbing gone badly wrong, someone sort of left out, no one to take them, and a rogue embalmer, an undertaker, decides to make a little money off of it. It's all very American. Everyone's trying to make money just about everywhere you look through a variety of schemes and shenanigans.
Visitors would pay their dues by physically slipping the coin into the man's mouth, and the creepy-ass undertaker would come fish him out later, probably with bare hands all slowly and sensual-like. A few years passed when a couple of guys showed up claiming to be McCurdy's brothers, with a note from the local sheriff to back it up. They told the undertaker they had permission to go bury McCurdy, so he reluctantly relinquished the body to the men. Except, these guys weren't his brothers. They were just a couple of crusty freaking carnies.
Yeah, that's not surprising. You thought those two lowlifes were really in there on legitimate pretenses? Nope. They're there to make some money as well. The tale continues.
They shipped the body off to Kansas to become an attraction in the traveling show. From here, McCurdy traded hands a few more times. At one point, he was exploited for this one guy's film about narcotics. It was like, yeah, this pill-popping degenerate got shot while trying to rob a pharmacy for more dope the other day.
Wait, this has got to be pretty late into the century at this point.
The body was super old by then, so people are like, wait, why is he all desiccated and flaky and gross? He just goes, yep, that's what happens when you do drugs, kid. Your fucking skin falls off. Stay above the influence. At some point in his journey, he ended up getting coated in wax and paint to look a little less rotty, before ending up in a warehouse in 1949.
Ew, you've got this body. I understand it's been very well embalmed, and, you embalm a body well, it can last in pretty good condition for a long time, but just the idea of this decades-old body that's been dragged around the country, has been waxed and painted, is pretty gross.
Here's the thing, he was in there alongside some actual wax figures, and after spending 19 years in storage, nobody knew he was a real corpse anymore, so he ended up getting sold in 19...
Hey, that's some good embalming, I will say. Everyone's like, oh, there's just another wax figure. 1968, Jesus.
68 as a mannequin to one Spoonie Singh, owner of the Hollywood Wax Museum. He tried to lend the guy out a couple times during his stay, but people found him too gross or unrealistic looking for whatever purposes they had in mind. So he ended up getting sold again and used as a prop of a hanged man at the Pike Amusement Zone in their funhouse ride,
Jesus.
with zero knowledge that he was an actual dead criminal.
Yeah, that's really morbid. I mean, he's been used in a variety of ways, including for an anti-drug PSA. The fact that this is a real dead body throughout all of this, now he's playing the role of a spooky hanged man. It's like, that was a real guy. That's a real body. Holy.
It wasn't until 1976, 65 years after his death, that an episode of The $6 Million Man was being filmed at the complex, and a stagehand tried to move the prop around, only to have its arm break off in his hand. He was like, ugh. Lousy stiff. Wait a minute, that's curious. This mannequin's got human flesh and bones inside of it.
Oh.
Wait a minute. The autopsy confirmed whatever.
God, imagine being that stagehand. You're like, all right, let's move the prop body. Let's move the mannequin. Ah, damn, I pulled the arm off. Oh my God. You realize you've been dealing with a dead body this whole time.
Everyone present at the time suspected. By this point, the body was so dried out and stale that it only weighed 50 pounds, which makes me think we should start a radical new fad diet where we just get people to mummify parts of their body. Like, Jenny, guess what? I just lost 30 pounds in 5 days. Wow, holy heck, how'd you do that? They call it the Egyptian cleanse. Anyway, with that, McCurdy was finally laid to rest back in his homeland of Oklahoma, and that film crew's lives were never the same again.
Yeah, I will say, it's not often you see someone who, I'm not trying to rub it in Elmer McCurdy, but he might have done more in his death than during his life. Sort of a bit of a buffoonish train robber. During his death, he apparently served in a bunch of different capacities, entertaining, carnival shows, sort of a one-man show, in movies, PSAs, rides. He did a lot of stuff after he already died.
Flashback to late 18th century.
Baloney.
There lived a physician by the name of Luigi Galvani. This guy was a big deal. He's the dude who discovered that, hey, animals got electricity in them. And his legacy still survives today in words like galvanize. One of his most famous experiments was the one where he used static electricity to make frog legs twitch on command. Around these parts, we call that the French salute. Stereotypes funny. Well, in 1803, his nephew, Giovanni Aldini, said, hey, that's pretty nifty and all, but what if we tried it on people? So the city of London was like, hey, now you're thinking with portals. One freshly executed criminal coming up.
See, this is the kind of stuff that you can't really get away with these days. Back in the day, they were like, we want to do some experiments. We started off with frog legs, that was pretty good, but why don't we try it on humans? And the local government, or just some rich guy, would be like, I've got some dead bodies laying around. You want a dead criminal? Here you go. Do all the experiments you want. And even better, people would come to watch as if it was a spectator sport.
Aldini gathered a crowd and applied 2 diodes to the corpse's head, causing his face to scrunch up and one eye to flick open. Aldini was a showman though, he wanted some real action, so he then put the current through opposite points in the body, which made the whole thing flail around like Pinocchio in heat. Now today we know he was just exciting the dead muscles, right? But the people who were watching had no idea what was going on, so they were like, Jesus Christ, this guy's a fucking necromancer. Quick, go get grandma, maybe we can get in the will after all. Fun fact, this experiment actually ended up serving serving as inspiration for Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which makes me wonder what other famous novels were based on real-life events. Was a white whale ever pursued by a vengeful sea captain? Was there actually a mentally handicapped migrant worker who liked hugging rabbits to death? Was there ever
I mean, that's not that unrealistic.
a human soul as profoundly asinine and willfully ignorant as Amelia Bedelia?
Damn.
God, I hate her glassy-eyed face so
Bro has got beef with Amelia Bedelia. What the hell?
fucking much. I just want to mash it into a running waffle maker, be like, ha, isn't that ironic? Grab her by her vacant fucking head, throw her out of a 747 and say, hey, why didn't you shoot yourself when you had the chance? Get it!
Oh my god.
Anyway, one thing we learned today is the importance of reputability. And just as you wouldn't want some dirty carnies jacking your stiff, phrasing, you certainly wouldn't want the same fate to befall your valuable online information. That's why you need to try Dashlane. Dashlane's been
here's
all
the
over the
advertisement.
place recently, and with
Yeah, I don't really know what we learned today, honestly. Here we've got Salmonella's ad. I doubt any of these links still work. These videos are quite old at this point. He's got some newer ones, but this one's 6 years ago. There you go. Well, we certainly did get some dead body hijinks, as promised in the title. You know, I said this at the beginning. This is very on theme for Salmonella. Just let's talk about some weird shenanigans people did with dead bodies throughout history, and unsurprisingly, a lot of it revolved around making money. You know, as everything does. You want to do some dead body hijinks? Why not make a little cash off of it? So interesting stuff. Part 1. I know we have a part 2. There are probably a lot more dead body hijinks you could cover throughout history. So we'll do that next week. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you'd leave a like, subscribe, and once again, check out my Patreon, which is linked down below. Now with all that, hope you guys are having a great day today, and I'll see you all again next time. Goodbye.